All right, good morning and good afternoon to those of you who had joined our webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Thanks for joining the Salesforce and Dynamics GP Integration webinar. I am Scott Cloutier, the Marketing Administrator here at Scribe, and I'm joined today by Rich Rodacey, our Sales Engineer, who will be showing you a demonstration of Dynamics GP and Salesforce integration. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Our phone lines are muted. The presentation it will probably be approximately 30 to 40 minutes, depending on questions. If you have questions, you can go ahead and use the questions feature in your GoToMeeting panel to submit them, and we will address all of the questions at the end. An agenda for today, we're going to talk a little bit about data challenges and why integrating Salesforce and Dynamics GP is important. We'll go ahead and have Rich talk about the Dynamics GP connector we have for Scribe Online. He'll go ahead and do a demonstration, and then we'll talk about your questions. So we'll just go ahead and go over the data challenge here. Collecting data is really the easy part in business. We all know that. But the real challenge is connecting the different types of data that we have across multiple channels. And this is really where we find that companies win and lose. Connecting the data to the right people and the right places really helps to drive revenue, customer satisfaction, and lower costs. Customers today really have so many different touch points through which they really receive data, and there's so many applications that have had different types of data in them within the different departments in our organizations. So we really need to make sure that all of those touch points and all of that data that's residing in different platforms is connected. Some of those might be in the cloud, some of them are on-premise, and some people are using what we call a hybrid situation, which is both cloud and on-premise. So to meet our customer expectations, we really need to make sure that data easily flows across our organization. The shift has really completely changed. All companies really need integration. So really, what is the value here? So the value of integrating Dynamics GP with Salesforce, we kind of focus on 2 points here. So for finance, we're really trying to eliminate errors caused by manual data entry. We all have had those situations where we have filled out some invoice paperwork, we've handed that physical piece of paper over to somebody, and that information ends up getting lost in the shuffle, and there's some type of manual error, and what ends up happening in the end? Our customer is disappointed that their information is either incorrect or something happened with their order, and now we have to go back and redo something. So really eliminating errors that are caused by manual data entry. We really reduce and eliminate the time of answering these repetitive questions. So sales and finance don't necessarily need to converse about the same information all the time, because sales can look up financial information that they need to know, invoices, customer information, and finance can do the same. They can look up customer information and not have to go to sales to get the new info. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Rich to go over today's example of Microsoft Dynamics GP.
Great, thank you, Scott, and my personal welcome to each and every one of you out there. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the GP connector that we have for Scribe Online, and this slide really represents the ways that the technologies, I should say, that we connect into the Dynamics application. And as you can see, it's a combination of a couple things. So first off, we do use SQL as a connection, as well as web services and eConnect. And if you're not familiar, Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013, and that's what we're focusing on today, does have a combination of these technologies available to us. And some of them offer benefits versus others, and we felt that when we put the technology together for the connector that we brought to market, a combination of these really serves us well. So we do use SQL, we do use web services, which sits on top of eConnect, so as to be able to get to that data, read the data, as well as write into Dynamics GP. And as mentioned, today we are talking about the GP adapter for 2013. This is not backwards compatible. It supports GP 2013. And as you can see there on the far right of your screen there, we do provide access to the customer master, sales order processing entities, and these are pretty much support the order to invoicing process when you're talking about moving data into Dynamics GP. So I wanted to give you a little feel as to what that looks like. Let's now take a look at how the GP connector works. So we have this graphic here that I think explains it fairly well, that we've got Scribe Online that lives in the cloud. You're probably familiar with that. And then any cloud application we can also connect to. So when you're integrating using Scribe Online, the UI into Scribe Online is via a standard web browser, as you see down there at the bottom left. So whether it's Chrome, IE, just an internet connection available to you, you can reach out into Scribe Online and start to begin to develop the orchestrations, if you will, of those solutions, the integrations for the use case. Once that is in place, basically what you have is you've got your source connections, you've got your target connections, you've got the data links between your various endpoints, and any transformation functions that you may want to apply on top of those data links, so as to allow that data to take on a different shape and form as it moves into the target. That certainly is an option. And then the agent, which is another technology component of Scribe Online, its whole purpose in life is to basically take those instructions that were created up in Scribe Online, and that being the data map that you have designed, and then perform the work, move that data from your source into your target. We have two types of agents. We have a cloud agent as well as an on-premise agent. And when we talk about a cloud agent, when you would use one of those versus the on-premise agent, whenever you're doing cloud-to-cloud type of integration using Scribe Online, you would deploy an online, or I should say a cloud agent. If you have an on-premise application involved in the particular integration that you're creating, then you would use an on-premise agent. That on-premise agent would sit behind a firewall, so it is secure. Its access into, let's say, Dynamics GP on-premise would be via your security infrastructure, and then reaching out into the cloud to another application such as Salesforce, we would just use the HTTPS protocol, that secured socket layer. So you've got security from Salesforce all the way down into your back office because the agent is sitting behind that your firewall. So that kind of hopefully gives you a good idea as to the pieces and parts that make up the Scribe Online platform, specifically when we're talking about the GP connector. Okay, so what I'd like now to do is take you into a brief demonstration of doing an integration between Salesforce.com and Dynamics GP. Now, what you're looking here is my deployment, my instance of Salesforce, and you hopefully see my accounts page. The integration that you'll be seeing today is going to be based on the solution pack that we here at Scribe have created, and we've made available as a free download from our website. So the benefit of that is that you download the solution pack, you're up and running quickly with regards to that use case, sales orders to invoicing. And then if you wanted to add or subtract from that, you can easily do that as well because you don't have to be a programmer to use Scribe Online. And hopefully you'll see that by end today, that the UI is so engaging. There's minimal learning curve with regards to using Scribe Online. So let's go ahead and begin this process. And I'll take you more into Scribe Online in a moment, but I wanted to show you from an application level of how the integration would work. So a user's working within Salesforce, and they get a call from one of their customers, and the first thing they want to do is they want to go into the customer to look at the detail of that particular account. So here I can see the information, I can see outstanding opportunities, any orders that they have created in the past. So I have good visibility as to the activity of that particular account. Sales invoices down here below, so I've got the visibility into the back office because of integration to be able to know exactly where they are with their invoicing. So let's go through the process. I'm going to create a brand new opportunity to show you how this works. So we're going to click on New Opportunity, and as you can see on this screen here, we've got some required fields that need to be filled out. And I'm going to call this, let's see, OPT 13014 for today's date. The type of opportunity is going to be for an existing customer. The status of this is we're going to leave that as a submit pending. The document type, I'm just going to come down here and make this an order. The amount for this opportunity, I'm just going to put in $500 expected revenue from this opportunity. And then the close date, I expect to have the business by the end of today, so we'll go ahead and use today's date. And then the stage here, I'm going to call this closed one. So we have pretty much everything in place that we need to be able to go on to the next step of this opportunity creation in Salesforce. So at this point, I'm going to save and add some product. All right. First thing that comes up are the price books. In fact, the solution path that I talked about earlier, a part of that provides the initial sync of your products from your back office, in this case Dynamics GP, and we replicate that data up here into Salesforce.com in addition to the price books. So we're going to leave it on retail. We're going to click on save. And at this point, we're now going to add some product. And then here again, the initial sync that I talked about. Here are all the products that we had sourced from Dynamics GP and made available here in Salesforce. So Aaron Fitz here, he wants to order a new 15-inch monitor. Let's go ahead and select that. And then here we'll put a quantity of 1. Sales price $139.95. We'll go ahead and click on save. And now the opportunity here in the Salesforce side of the house is in place. Now, the integration has not run yet. However, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take you quickly into Scribe Online and initiate the running of that so you can actually see how that happens. And you can certainly schedule your integrations to run on some set frequency that makes sense for the business use case. So you don't have to do a one-off like I'm going to do here. So there's my solution. I'll talk more about what you're seeing here on the screen in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and run this. And you can see over here on the far right, the third column, that the status of this will change to starting. So while that is basically gearing up to do the integration, what's happening behind the scenes is the agent is talking with Scribe Online and determining what the statement of work is, if you will, and that's based on the integration use case. And so it'll make the connection into Dynamics GP and Salesforce, look at the data mapping links as well as any transformation links that have been applied to that. And with that in place, it'll go ahead and move that data. I want to quickly show you one thing here while that's running, and this will just only take a couple seconds, but these are the touch points of that solution pack that I was talking about earlier that you can download freely from our website. Here you can see bidirectional arrows indicating data is moved in both directions between GP and Salesforce, as well as the sales orders, as you can see further on down the use case there. And then the unidirectional movement of items from Dynamics GP into products within Salesforce, as well as price levels. And we do that primarily because ERP would be the master of that data. However, we do have customers that have the reverse. They want their Salesforce or their CRM deployment to be the master in of the data. So there's, and you can certainly modify your maps to support that particular direction as well. So having seen that, let me go back into my integration here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over here into Dynamics GP, and we're going to look at our sales transactions. Let me move this up the screen just a little bit better so you can see it. And I'm going to change the type to order. And then for the document number, I'm going to click on the lookup glass, and I'm just going to sort by document number, scroll down to the bottom. And what we should now have is a new document, 2275. I'm just going to go ahead and select that. And here you can see there is Aaron Fitz Electrical for that account that we had created up in Salesforce, that particular opportunity. There is the 2275 SOP order number. Down below here is the line item detail. So there's the 15-inch monitor, quantity 1, unit price, and total down here at the bottom. So pretty simple to run your integrations and let Scribe Online do the heavy lifting based on this particular solution map. Now, what has also happened, let me go back into Salesforce. What has also happened is, remember, this is the opportunity that we had created. You can see down here the status says submit pending. However, if I do a refresh, since that order has went to the back office, you can see that we now have a submit message filter comes back from that integration. So here it says the status code is now submitted, and the submit message says the order submitted to GP on this particular date and time, and there's the order number that we pull back. So anybody that's using Salesforce and has just submitted that order, they have a real-time information as to what was the order number generated in the back office, and now the CRM department as well as the ERP department are on the same page with respect to this particular order. Now you can certainly, via the solution pack as well, do invoicing in GP, and then it'll go ahead and create an invoice here in Salesforce. So that's the use case at a high level. Wanted to share that with you. Now what I'd like to do is I want to take you a little bit more into Scribe Online and talk about the UI. And remember, I said you don't have to be a programmer to use this product, and we truly mean that. Integration does not have to be difficult when you're using Scribe Online. So here, I'm logged into my instance of Scribe Online, and we call this an organization. So whenever you spin up an instance of Scribe Online, it will ask you for your name, your address, and things like that, in addition to another value where we're looking for your particular organization name. Now, my organization name that you can see over here in the top right says Dying GP NetSuite DMX. This is just the name that I had given, some arbitrary name that would be specific for the demo environment that I have created. But your organization may be your company name. And the reason I'm talking about this organization thing is that Scribe Online baseline functionality offers you a multi-tenant capability as well as multi-user capability. So what does that mean? Well, if let's say I'm a consultant and I provide professional services to my customers, one of the things that would be important to me if I'm dealing with multiple customers out there is to be able to get to their environment and add value to the existing integrations that they may have, or create some brand new ones, or modify them, whatever the case may be. And I'd like to be able to do that from a single portal, and that's exactly what you can do here with Scribe Online. So by clicking on the organization number here at the top right, you can simply click on the pull down, and that pull down will actually show you the other integrations that are available to you, as you can see here, and I can quickly click on these and hop over to those and start to fulfill the requirement that I've been hired to do. You know, like I said, some additional professional services. And then once I'm done, I can simply come back to my own organization and continue work. So the only thing that you need is, once again, a browser. You've got your Scribe Online instance. You have been invited to these other organizations, and you can quickly hop between those. The other thing I had mentioned was the multi-user. So let's say that I'm developing, from a consulting perspective, an integration that has Oracle and Salesforce. Well, I may not have all the expertise in Oracle. Maybe I need to have one of my colleagues join me. So I can, via the user button here, go ahead and invite someone to join my organization simply by putting their email address, giving them a role, whether it's going to be a user or an admin type role, putting in a nice invitational message here, send off the invitation. That person will receive an email. They choose to accept it. When they log in, they will now end up on my solution page in my organization, where they now can help me build out that Oracle integration. Now, once that effort has been completed, I can simply remove them from my organization, and they no longer have access. So, multi-tenant and multi-user environment. Okay, just a couple things. Over here, you can see that actually in the center of the screen, there's a section called Integration Services, IS, as we refer to it. And then down below here is another one called RS, which is Replication Services. I just want to spend 30 seconds on the bottom half here. This is the first solution that we came out with, solution module for Scribe Online, and it is for Replication Services. And what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of customers, a lot of companies that are moving their data to the cloud, and sometimes they may feel that a step removed from that data. Maybe they don't have all the functionality that they once had when that data was on premise. So what we came to market with was Replication Services. And what that allows you to do is replicate your Salesforce data, and you can pick and choose what entities that you want to replicate. Now, it could be the entire data set, or it could be just accounts, customers, contacts, things like that. And then you can replicate that down to a local SQL Server database. It could be an Oracle database, a MySQL database, and now you have that data back on premise. It could be used as a backup. It could be used to provide robust reporting capabilities or do some analytics against that data. So Replication Services allows you to do that. Now, let's go back up to the top here, Integration Services. The highlighted solution instance name that you see there is that solution pack that I talked about that supports the order-to-invoicing process between Dynamics GP 2013 and Salesforce. I'm going to go ahead and double-click on that real quickly here, and I'm going to take you into the solution and kind of show you the look and feel of the process of rolling out a solution. Obviously, this one's already made, but nonetheless, the look and feel is going to be exactly the same. 4 sequential tabs at the top. You start with the General tab. This is where you give it a name, as well as some additional descriptive information if you care to. Once that's in place, just sequentially go to the next tab, which is the Agent tab. We talked about agents before. We have 2 of them. We have the online agent as well as the on-premise agent, and you can pick and choose which one you want to use. And then once that agent is in place, sequentially move to your 3rd, and this is the Maps tab. And what you're seeing in this list are all the maps that make up that particular solution pack that supports the order-to-invoicing between GP and Salesforce. You can see over here we give you a description as to what each one will do. And again, if you wanted to, you can remove some of these, you can modify these, or you can add additional maps to it. It's really up to you and the use case that you're trying to address. I'm going to go ahead and open up one that we have here. This is the one that synchronizes GP customers up into Salesforce.com. So I'm just going to double click on that. And what you're now seeing is the layout of this particular data map. Over on the left side of the screen here, you can actually see the logic that represents this particular integration. And then over here, think of this as your tool set that you would use to be able to build out your logic on the left side of the screen. A couple things that you need to do is initially identify a source connection, and that's either by clicking on the pull down where you can pick out any of the connections that you already have in place, or maybe I needed to create a new one by clicking on the new button here, and I can pick the various technologies that are available, and from that point fill out the fields. Once you're done, test your connection to make sure that everything works fine, and then at that point you're good to go, and that will show up in your pull down list. So in this case, the source side here is GP 2013. Down below here in this pinkish color, this is basically showing you those tools that are available for your source connection. And you can see we have queries, we got lookups, we got voids, update inserts, just a wide variety of different types of functional blocks here for GP. And then as I scroll down, we also have a target connection, and this is Salesforce. And we are connecting into Salesforce using its API, the Force.com API. And then with that, you can see that we have its own set of functional blocks available to us. One of them here you can see is an upsert, which is Salesforce functionality that we leverage so as to be very efficient in terms of pushing data up into Salesforce. So these are all available. And the whole process here is just drag and drop to be able to build out your logic. Just a bit further down on the right side, here are your control blocks, and you can see they're very logical based. We have for each result, we've got the if-then-else clause, and these are just nothing more than dragging out and putting them into your design, and then you are good to go to be able to further define the parameters about those particular functional blocks. I'm just going to show you how we can modify one that I currently have here on the screen. I'm just going to move this over a little bit so you can see a little bit better. But let's say I wanted to make some modifications. Well, I can just grab this existing block and get it out of the way. Now I say, okay, I'm going to query my customers in GP, which is that first functional block. And the detail about that query is basically you double click and it shows you some additional information in here of how you want to query. Using filters, you can preview the data, do relationships with between the parent and the child. So that's all in each one of these blocks. But what I wanted to do here was I want to go ahead and query my customers in GP, and then for each result that I get, maybe what I'd like to do is let's go ahead and perform a lookup into Salesforce. So I grab the lookup block in Salesforce connection and look up and see if that customer exists. And if it does, let's go ahead and update it. And if it doesn't, let's go ahead and insert it. So the key word there is the if. So if I come down here to the functional block, you can see there's the if then else. Let's go ahead and drag that and put that into place right after the lookup. Now I've got for each result that I receive from the query, Let's perform a lookup to find out if it exists, and if it does exist, let's go ahead and update it. So let's grab the update block, and if it does not exist, let's go ahead and perform the create. So very simple in building your logic. And any time that you see a little X there in each one of these functional blocks, that just indicates that you need to add some additional data to that particular block. So for instance, if I'm doing a lookup, you need to tell it, well, what is it that you want to look up? If I'm performing a create, well, what fields from the source to the target would you like me to create for you? So it's just basically double-clicking on those and running through the paces of doing that. So hopefully that gives you a quick idea as to how you build this. Again, no programming involved. It's all logical if you think about it in terms of how do I want to get data from point A to point B, and then just build out using these functional blocks. The other thing that you see over here on the far right is a debug tab. So anytime that you build one of your solutions, and maybe you'd like to do a quick test on it, you can actually run a debug. And what that will do is it'll go ahead and create an arrow pointing to your first block, and to the right, it'll bring back the results based on that particular functional block. So in that case, it'll do the query of the customers, and it'll show you what it's finding. And then down below here, when it performs the lookup, it'll show you the results of that lookup. So it's a great way to validate your designs before you roll them out into production. Okay, having said that, a couple other things here before I turn it back over to Scott, and that is anytime that you build your solutions or you want to import solutions that Scribe provides, or maybe your colleague has created and wants to share with you, you can easily import those by clicking on the import button here. If I wanted to share what I've created with one of my colleagues, I can just highlight those ones that I want, and I can export it. And the export basically opens up a window here where I can share them to a Windows folder, or maybe I want to go put them out on SkyDrive, or maybe on Dropbox, and now they have instant access to those. Once they receive them, they simply do an import, and those solution maps will now show up. The only thing that they need to do at that point is just go ahead and adjust the source and the target connections to match their particular environment. Okay, so that's a little bit about maps. Now the last tab that you see here at the very top is the Schedule tab. Remember earlier I ran the integration just to kind of show you how you do that as a one-off. But you can also go ahead and set it on a particular schedule. So I can run it once on a particular date and time, or maybe more on a recurring basis where I can choose the days of the week. Or maybe just the last day of each month. And then in addition to that, I can even add some additional granularity where I can say, I want this to run every 30 minutes past the hour. So I have a lot of flexibility to build out a frequency run of my integration to support the use case at hand. Okay, so that was a little bit about Scribe Online. Let's go ahead back into the PowerPoint presentation, and I'll turn it back over to Scott.
Great, thanks, Rich. Great presentation. So before we go ahead and answer anyone's questions, just a few next steps. We definitely recommend that if you have not already, you go ahead and give Scribe Online a try. Try it for yourself. Jump on in there. You can get a free trial for 15 days. If you need any assistance, we do have a customer success engineer. Nate is here to help you. If you need anything, you can get in contact with him. His contact information is right on the screen. And he'll help you get set up. He can help you connect to whatever systems you're interested in connecting to. In this particular case, get you connected to Salesforce and your Dynamics GP systems. And just go ahead and test it out. We certainly want you to do that and get yourself known with Scribe Online. And we'll go ahead and check on any questions here. We do have a question on Scribe Online pricing. Scribe Online is priced by usage on a usage basis, so it is really about how much data that is actually flowing through Scribe Online, and pricing does start at $129 a month.
Yeah, there's another question here, Scott, about the various connectors that we have available, and if we don't have one available, what does Scribe Online bring to the table? Well, we do have a wide variety of technologies, not only specific connectors such as Salesforce and GP, We have Dynamics CRM, we've got SQL, we've got Oracle, we've got ODBC, OLADB, so a wide variety that will allow you to connect into many different types of data stores out there. Now, for the ones that we don't have, and we're constantly adding to our marketplace, we do have a CDK, which is our connector development kit. And that connector development kit really allows one that has programmatic expertise to be able to build out your own niche connector and then use it for the use cases that make sense to you. Another value in doing it, creating your own connector, is that if you choose to do so, you can actually market it on our marketplace where that particular connector will have visibility to all those that are using the Scribe Online ecosystem. So certainly some opportunity there to generate some revenue on the intellectual properties that you would have created. Okay, so a couple other questions here. Do we have a connector to MAS 90? Unfortunately, no, we don't. MAS 90, as I understand it, is a very proprietary database, and it's very difficult to get data out of MAS 90. So there are some applications out there that will allow you to export data from MAS 90, and from that we can certainly pick that up, whether it's in a CSV file, and we can move that forward. MAS 100, I believe that might be a SQL backend database, so since we do have a SQL connector, we would have access into it. But a specific connector, as we refer to connectors here in Scribe Online, ones that leverage the APIs of those specific applications, no, there is not, but again, we do have a SQL alternative. Let's see, is there an online list of all your connection capabilities? Absolutely. So if you do the trial that Scott had mentioned, if you go to scribesoft.com, we do have a trial that you can use for, I believe it's 15 days. And in there, you can actually click on the marketplace where you'll see all the available connectors that our ISV family has created and made available, and provide visibility to that on our online application. All right, do you have an ODBC connector? Yep, we do. I think I did mention that earlier. So we do have ODBC. As long as you have it installed, we can go ahead and reference it, and then you can use that within your data maps. Any additional questions, please? Well, it looks like that is it for today. So if you have any other questions, certainly don't hesitate to contact us. But thank you for joining us today, and we hope to be talking to you soon.